Hello everyone, and welcome back to my RP-1 playthrough. Let's see. So, 126 days to Mars. Rolling things out. Mission training will finish soon. Oh yes, I was going to figure out what to maybe build instead of that comp set. That's what I was going to do, now that we have a spare VAB slot. I want to get done with this campaign, so I think I want to just go ahead and take this. We're really nearly there. Like, we're getting lunar landing, although I'm not actually probably going to use any of the things involved in that. We want surface science. We don't need that. Yeah, we don't need any of those other things. So let's do it. Do it. That was a shot in the arm for cash. I'll take one of those and still fly the comsat. What else can we fly? Oh, right. Let me start the astronaut complex upgrading. Need that in order to land on, to do the surface stuff, to plant the flag, sorry. All right. Tempting to take that contract and then deorbit the probe, because 50 kilometers on Mars isn't that hot. Especially if we're entering from low Mars orbit, we probably will survive the 50 kilometers, and that'll give us a cool almost $750 million. Mercury rover, lol. Don't even want to think about how hard that is. I guess we could send people back to the moon. That seems like a not unreasonable thing to test before we actually do a lunar landing. Only a year. The margins will be very tight for our lunar orbiter mission. Very tight indeed. we need to unlock this thing, which is expensive. What's the test flight? Why are we not getting any test flight details on these things? It has a, oh, but for some reason, oh, it doesn't have a TF config for this. It has a TF config for the storable version. So the question is reliability versus performance. We would gain about 100 meters per second if we switch to an RL10. But that's expensive. But we would lose a bit of reliability, I think. If we, well, for sure we would, because these don't have a test flight config, so they're perfectly reliable. How bad is it with only one of them? So that's a 7-minute insertion burn. Probably. No, it's probably a 6-minute insertion burn, maybe even a 5-minute insertion burn, which is still a bit much. And we really don't actually gain that much delta V. 1877 versus yeah, so 17 meters per second for going with. Actually, let's. Oh yes, and let's get everybody out. Right. If we put the skirt on, right now we're at 10.7 tons. Let's do that and minimize our cosine losses. So 13 tons, give or take. So we're 2 tons over. And we only gain 100, 215, about 250 meters per second. Hey, no, Mr. Bond. And hey, Blowfish. Yes, this thing. It's sort of a hybrid, because like the original plan had the, the solid nose. This is going to be a lunar orbit rendezvous thing. Yeah, I think we need to skip the skirt. Blowfish, you do need to nail the inclination for LOR. However, happily, PVG provides, because PVG launches almost insanely perfectly into the moon's orbital plane. It would be much harder if we were... I mean, I did LOR back in my tutorial playthrough back 2 years ago. It's possible even without it, but with PVG it's going to be so much easier. Hey, Ak. So much easier. Oh my goodness. Oh, I forgot to fix the parachute costs. Shoot. Oh well. Alright, so already it's almost 100 days just to build this. Not even counting the launch vehicle under it. Oh boy. Alright, so where were we? We were put an abort tower on it. I need to action group some things. Oh, I think I already have them action grouped, probably. Abort. All right. How the heck this has toggle crossfeed, I don't know, but it does. Yeah, the problem is this thing is just barely too heavy to be reasonable. Oh, right, and I need to port over. Forgot. Which is the relevant foxhound? I think this is the... Yeah, this is the relevant foxhound. No, these were... So, welcome to Apollo D2. So back in 1959 or so, NASA let out, as they were already thinking of the follow-on to Mercury, NASA sent out a request for proposals for Apollo spacecraft, which was going to be an Earth orbital space station craft with a possible upgrade to circumlunar capability. So Martin proposed a lifting body, because of course they did. Convair, General Dynamics proposed a lifting body, because of course they did. And General Electric proposed Apollo D2, which, as you can see, looks very Soyuz-like. Basically, all those early Apollos had a command module, a mission module, and a propulsion module, or service module. And there was also a Max Friggate's baseline study that had just the conic capsule and then a propulsion module. Basically, North American was the only one of the companies that basically just did what Frigate asked for, so they got the contract. But the idea of early Apollo was that it was a multi-mission spacecraft. You could have various different mission modules. You could stick big propulsion things below the service module and have an EOR constructed lunar lander using Saturn C2 to launch all the parts. But yeah, it's a flexible early Apollo, which I kind of like because I like the modular approach. I like the fact that that the total mass is lower. I like that it's sort of cute. Um, the other interesting thing, which you can't see with the way these parts were made because they were made as KSP parts, was that the actual design inside this is a very Soyuz-shaped headlight reentry module. This is actually an outer shell, and there's also a pressurized cabin under this, and this is an outer shell. You should look it up on Wikipedia or Astronaut or something. It's pretty cool. No, Mr. Bond, it's from the Apollo D2 mod by McDouble. Not sure if it's ever been officially released, but it's on GitHub. McDouble is apparently currently redoing the parts to make them even more awesome. Did a bunch of Apollo Lab parts to go with this that I don't have in the campaign. But McDouble basically made some RO and RP0 configs for it that I've since tweaked. There was a PR that has gotten merged in, but I have some other stuff. Anywho. Right, so let's stick something under it. Oh god, this is going to take forever to build, isn't it? Yes, it is going to take forever to build. Shoot. I hate when KSP does that. So we need a proc interstage. Ooh, actually, I wonder. Probably won't be good enough, but where's Orca? Oh, Orca Fox. Buster. Blowfish, to be fair, the entire collection of orbital module and return module is about the mass of regular Apollo. So, not that big a deal. Alright. So, I want to know how much delta V a Devon Rex stage below this has. Interesting. And I bet when we swap these to A33s, which costs a pretty penny. Interesting. All right. Almost enough delta V to do translunar. we get a little bit more out of these things? Well, first of all, we can swap out the tank for something better than this. Yeah, if we finally use the balloon tank. Oh, I already unlocked tank 4, apparently. I forgot that. Cool. Alright, so... Oh, also. Let's get the heck rid. Oops. Shoot. Now I have to center it again. Alright, now it's centered again. Let's get rid of that. And I'm sure we have access to these things. Yes, we do. That's ruinously expensive. All the things. Why are all the things so expensive? Oh god, that's not cheap. I guess we'll use a Gina Avionics then. We need a tank 4, don't we? Wait, how the heck did I have 99% in the other thing and 97 in this? Oh, it must be, maybe it was 96. We're single. There, this will do. Put this in here and move it up. Okay. 3.048. And we want, I think, 8 minutes and 2 seconds, was it? About? Actually, let's find out. We'll plop them back to this and do 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Alright, and then back to this, and I guess we'll overburn it slightly, because I think that has the same burn time, which I don't, that config does not make sense to me. How much is this going to cost? That's a shockingly large quantity of money. Does it not have a cost reducer from tank 3? Tank 4. Cost reducer, tank 3. Wow, that must be the cost reduced. Blowfish, the A3-3 does not make sense. Like, look at what's going on here. The A3-1, 67 kilonewtons. That's expected for an RL10, and it's 433 seconds. This, the specific impulse went up to 444 seconds. the thrust stayed the same, which means somehow that they must have like lowered the flow rates somehow, and yet the rated burn time is the same. Yeah, 470 seconds. Makes no sense. The 3A, at least, the thrust is up to what you'd expect it to be. Okay, so that right there looks pretty good to me. But we're going to keep that in reserve because what's actually relevant to our existence is this. And this should be 3.658. And we get to fix staging again, because life is great. I have not yet seen the new documentary. So much staging to fix. All right. All right, now this is a launch vehicle on the edge of success and failure. Really tight margins here. In fact, it probably won't work. Yeah, how heavy is this actually? 200 kilograms, that's just not gonna be possible actually. So I think that means, so first of all, we need to tool a bunch of things. Why is that not already tooled? Tank 3. You're kidding me. Did we never have these things tooled? Did I launch? Was the reason why the... It's interesting. Ak, you should get on the Discord and ask in RP-0 support. People will get you sorted out. Unless you already have, in which case that's weird. But anyway, so apparently this is not in any way, shape, or form tooled. Like I could have sworn we had a short thing here, but we don't. So I guess I'm going to tool it because it's 5 million funds to tool that. Okay. Oh, good, I unlocked the Centauri Advance because we got to use it anyway. I forgot I have it on this. Oh, that's tank 3 HP. That'll help with Delta V some. For some reason that was set to the wrong kind of tank. That's cool. Every little bit helps. So basically, I should go back and say this is basically a Saturn C2 that's using LR87 LH2 parts. So let me explain what Saturn C2 was. Oops. Let me try to get such that I can. Get rid of this. All right, so everybody knows Saturn 1B. Saturn 1B was basically the launcher called Saturn C1. The C series were the Hydrolox upper stage Saturns. Saturn C2 was the original baseline for the lunar mission because it was going to be Earth orbit rendezvous. They were going to launch a whole bunch of things into Earth orbit and assemble there. So Saturn C2 was your average Saturn 1 booster. The second stage was going to be a stage that had 2 J2 engines, or later 4 engines, which was pretty insane. But it had 2 J2. We'll go with the sane one, which had 2 J2 engines. And then the third stage was going to be the S4 stage, which had the 6 RL10s. So this is a substantially similar design. You'll note that the weight of this thing is about the weight of the S4. Oh, and I need to also... That's expensive. Yeah, we're running out of money here, folks. So yeah, this is basically an S4 stage. It's just with an LR87 LH2, which means it has about half the burn time. But the specific impulse isn't too much worse. It's worse, but it's not too much worse. This, with the 4 of them, is somewhere between the 2J2 and 4J2 version of the second stage. But the idea behind all this is that we can throw a pretty considerable quantity of mass TLI. And our aim will be to throw this whole shebang TLI. So I think what we're going to have to do for sure is we're going to have to replace some things with Tank 4, which will be pretty expensive. In particular, we're going to have to replace this to get that down. So let's be about it then. So you move away. What are your dimensions? 3.658 by 12.6 meters. So we'll put you away and we'll get it tank. Actually, let me put this back so I can see how much delta V we start with here. In particular, we have 2532 plus 4641 plus 5268. That's 12441. Now minus 9300 to give a nice margin to low Earth orbit, and that's 3141. I want to do lunar. I don't want to do lunar orbit with it because it's going to be the capsule side of a lunar orbit rendezvous architecture. If we only need 9200 to orbit, which we might because we don't have such long burning upper stages, although this first stage is pretty anemic, we'd be at 3241. And our total is 14,300 on the nose. So let's see what we do, what we get if we swap this out for tank 4. $3.658. All right, that gained us 300 meters per second. Nice. That is in fact enough to be getting on with. So we don't have to do anything. We don't have to deal with replacing these tanks, which would have been ruinously expensive. As it is, it's going to cost a lot to tool them. But yeah. It's going to cost an awful lot to tool this stuff, but that's okay. So this is totally a common bulkhead stage. All right. Yeah, actually. Yeah, this was the one we had before. All right. So let's do this. We'll leave these at tank 3 because I don't want to deal with tooling tank 4 versions of them. Do I? Yeah, because it'll cost way more to do tank 4 versions. So let's do this. This is going to be ruinously expensive. Yes, it is. But look at how much lower that dry mass is. That's tooled because they're the same size. That's expected. This better be, yes, it's tooled. This needs to get retooled, but it's cheap. All right, what else is untooled? Just these things. Are these things tooled? What do you know? They are. Excellent. All right. Okay. So this puppy is going to take a very long time to build, but it is capable of doing our lunar missions. No, Mr. Bond, that is super interesting. What did the A3-1 have, is my question. Did it also have the lower flow rate, or did it have the higher flow rate? Because we know that um, the A-1 had a lower specific impulse, but the same thrust. So that lower flow rate makes sense there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and build this. The one thing I might do, so the annoying thing here is the utilization is quite low because we're underfilling it basically. What I'd obviously like to do, but that a liftoff TWR 1.15 is probably not worth 100 meters per second. Actually, 70 meters per second. It's totally not worth. All right, what about 1.2, 539? So 597 versus 2 ticks up to 559. 30 meters per second for that. All right, chat, what do you think? Should I have it with this liftoff thrust to weight ratio and less delta V, or 30 meters per second more delta V and a lower liftoff thrust to weight ratio? My gut says a higher liftoff thrust to weight ratio is worth 30 meters per second. Well, 37. But what do y'all think? All right, so we'll go with this then. And we're only 6 tons too heavy to use the small pad. Hey, Pap. Yeah, I'm getting perilously close here. But yeah, all right, you've convinced me that we should do 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the thing. We'll save a little mass. Yeah, that saves a little mass if we shorten that tank cheatily a little bit. And we're good. All right, let's check that. That's fine. We will hot stage and save on all these motors. We have some retros. The abort tower goes away. The next stage queues up. Separation and RCS for it. All right, we have no actual we have no retros on this stage, but that's okay. Right, let's check our life support supplies. Oops, I always do that by mistake. Let's put some crew back in and see. Oops. All right. TAC says, yeah, but we're going to use the fuel cells to create water. So that's actually, I'm going to stock a little bit more water just in case. Oh, it's already full. So we lost 2 meters per second by doing this. But we'll take a little bit more water. Gives us a little bit more margin. Not really, though. Blowfish, so funny you should say that. Because and so I looked at putting like 8 or 9 casters on, and they basically don't make a difference. But this was where's here we are. This is what I actually wanted to launch with, but it requires a considerable investment in unlocking these boosters. It's also basically over twice as heavy. But it doesn't require much delta V because it has a high lift-off thrust-to-weight ratio. And it can chuck a lot TLI, basically 19 tons, versus the 11 tons of the other thing. Yeah, ideally I would have used 4, but then I would have been over 1,500 tons. Yeah, this thing can put almost 19 tons TLI and about 60 tons in low Earth orbit. It's very much Saturn C3 class. It does look cool. I've launched it. It looks cool. It looks cooler when these get replaced with some E1s. Because you can burn that stage longer. They're more reliable than 9 engines. It's pretty cool. But at any rate, let's go back to what we got. That requires a bigger pad. It requires more than we can afford in unlock costs for those boosters. So I paid the cost for the engines already, and that's as much as I want to pay. Plus that single tank 4 tooling was super expensive. Although I did waste money on the RL10s that I'm not actually going to use. All right. So let me just verify that everything is tooled. Yes, it is. So let's build one. Boy, that was expensive. Blowfish, yeah, it's basically 9E1s would be equivalent to the early Saturn C3 designs. What else can we accept so that we have some working cash? Well, we're about to do the ComSat contract. Oh, hang on. How long does this give us? 2 years. Lol, I guess it's good that we're building that thing now, because it's going to take... I wonder if the... I think we probably have to increase the multipliers for the VAB upgrades, because the build rates are just too low right now for what we need. Or lower the build point costs of high-end things, maybe. I don't know. Oh wait, we already did that contract anyway. I think I need to accept it and then remove the funding so that the contract of multiple people in lunar orbit unlock. Let's look. Yeah, we did the other thing. All right, so I need to, so 184, 957. Now let's remove some money. $184, $957, back where we started. Good. That's a better contract. That only gives us 1 year to do it. That's going to be tight. But I feel like we should at least do that before we do the landing. No, Mr. Bond, thank you. That actually answers the question. So those numbers do sound right. Interesting. I wonder why they did it that way. You'd think they would have accepted the thrust increase. Also wonder if those stages had slightly longer burn times with the 3.3 instead of the 3.1, or if they just underloaded them some. Anyway, let's go ahead and accept this because we need the money, and I feel like we should at least. Oh, we have to do a certain inclination. That's interesting. But yeah, let's see if we get anything more interesting. That's a slightly lower inclination. No, Apollo never had an aposyline below that, so that seems. I gotta tweak that contract because I don't think that's reasonable. Oh, that's nice. That's much better. I will accept that, especially since the price didn't change. 175 is decent, and we can have a low inclination. Hope we don't fail, guys. All right, now we proceed to dump a lot of points into build rate. Even though by rights I need to save up for this, but I don't see how that's going to happen. We also need to get the heck to Mars so we can get a lot of build points. Cheers, no, Mr. Bond. All right. And we're going to have to cancel that. Finish. Did I already accept the ComSat contract? Probably. Yes, I did. I guess we could cancel it. Well, it's only going to take 14 days, and it'll give us enough for another 3 upgrade points. So I guess we might as well take it. But we definitely need to start building the lander soon. Happily, the lander will be cheaper. The lander will definitely be cheaper. All right. Darned if I know what to call it. Oh, except lol, we don't have the relevant node unlocked yet, I think. No, we don't. So we can't start building it yet. But for those of you interested, here's the lander that I'm going with. It has the Apollo drogue docking ring. It has some antennas. It has quite a bunch of electric charge. Going to take the lights off. Don't actually need the lights. And it has no, it's a 2-person lander. It's the Mark 1 Advanced lander can. Oh yeah, let's get the people out of it so that the numbers make sense. So it's a kind of funky design, and I haven't made it pretty yet. I was just using the default tank textures. But the idea is it's got an RL10 insertion / crasher stage, which burns for about 6 minutes. Oodles of delta V. Then for the final 200 meters per second or so, it uses the same stage, it's the same stuff it's going to use to take off with. And let's, yeah. Which is to say these little side boosters. And they have appreciable thrust. Then, so it lands, and then it uses the boost from them to take off again. And then when they burn out, these are jettisoned to save mass, and the remainder goes to orbit and does on-orbit maneuvers. That's a heavy ladder. 72 pounds for that ladder. No, sorry, 80 pounds for that ladder. Easily, if not more. It's a stupidly heavy ladder. $58, $57, $16.25. Let's see what the delta V difference is if we add this. Yeah, we'll definitely have more than 15 meters per second to spare, so we can just do it that way. Do we have any other recoverable science? I think that's the only relevant recoverable science. I mean, we have the ion mass spectrometer. Like, this doesn't have any... Oh, surface landed is biome dependent. Interesting. But I don't think I want to spend 50 kilograms and have something this size on here. Surface landed is not biome dependent. What else is landable science that we haven't already done too? That's the harder question. Well, for now, this is less about the science and more about the getting the money and the prestige and the landing. So we'll not worry about the science for this. Follow-up missions can do science. This is just going to prove it works. All right, so this is my lander. It's a kind of crazy design because really I should have a throttling terminal landing stage, but I didn't want to invest that much in a stage that would have a bunch of throttling engines that are only used for about 300 meters per second. So instead, I'm using side boosters for landing and taking off, which we then ditch. So we don't have to pay for the landing gear or the ladders. The ladders, interestingly, are as you can see, are connected to these, i.e. they get jettisoned as well. Oh, it's blocking the window. Well, I have internals off, so it doesn't actually matter. But yeah, that's my lander. And as soon as the node unlocks, we'll start building it. Yes, they relate infinitely, so you can stutter throttle. I'm pretty confident it'll work. Pretty reasonably confident. All right, when does this? 57 days. All right, we're going to swap that. Huh, why was that not showing up? I guess we could have used the single person lander, but I want to send 2 people down. Apollo style. Yeah, but it definitely will be way cheaper to launch than... It's about $20 million cheaper than Apollo, which means it will take about 2/3 as long to build, which means it will take about 90, sorry, at 250, 3 days. Yeah, it'll be about 90 days less to build. Is that right? 80 days? 80 something days. And this is 57 days, so they'll finish about the same time. All right, cool. So I think I should probably call it quits there. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye-bye.